Hello, my dear amazing students. I hope this finds you well. Today, I'm going to talk and do a review on intervals. Most likely, you've heard me talk about intervals in your lessons, and for some, this might be a really good brush up, so I thought it was a good time to do this. An interval is the distance between two given notes, and we measure that distance using whole steps and half steps. Let's do a review of what a whole step is and what a half step is. A whole step moves from one key to the very next with one key in between. Now, some of you may wonder, is it just, the raised keys in between? Well, let's see. I want to go a whole step up from this note here, but look, is there a key in between? Most of you would say no, there is not a key in between. So what would I need to do to move one whole step up? The answer is to go to that raised key. And if you look, a white ivory key can also be that one key in between. So if you take a look, a whole step up from this raised key here is to here. And from here to here, from here to here. These are all whole steps. And if I were to go down to this ivory key, take a look, here's a whole step. Here's a whole step. Here's a whole step. This is a half. Here's a whole. And here's a whole. Okay? So there's some examples of whole steps. If I were to play all whole steps, it would sound like this. Very spacey sounding, like it's intergalactic, okay? So those are all whole steps. And then the other step that we measure with is a half step. A half step moves from one key to the very next, but has no keys in between. So it goes from one key to the very next, no key in between. Half step, half step. And that's pretty dissonant sounding. Dissonant means it's not very pleasing to the ear. Like that is not very pleasing to the ear. If I were to move up all half steps, oh, I didn't do it there. There we go. A little harder holding a phone and playing that. Okay, so there is an example of all the half steps. Interesting fact, when you move up by half steps or move down by half steps, you're moving up and down chromatically. Moving up chromatically, okay? So we measure intervals. Again, an interval is the distance between two given notes. We measure those intervals using whole steps and half steps. So let's start at the very first interval. And remember, your intervals can start from any note and they can go up or down. They're pretty lucrative, pretty flexible. So we're going to start with a major second. And remember, major and minor are very different because of the distance between the notes. Major second, do, re, do. That's a melodic major second. A melodic interval is moving one note at a time. Whereas if I were to play a harmonic interval, I play the notes at the same time, like a harmony, creating a harmony. Even though that's kind of a weird harmony, we still hear it a lot in music, very subtly. That second, like this. There it sounds pretty, doesn't it? Okay? So there's that major second, do, re, do. It is one whole step. You can mark your whole steps with a W and half steps with an H. Now let's try the minor second. Minor intervals are always smaller than major intervals. Here's a minor second. Very dissonant sounding. Sounds like the theme from Jaws. Some of you may be too young for this. That usually meant the shark was coming. Okay? Woo, scary. So, and again, this can happen from any note. So let's say I wanted to play a minor second down from C. There it is. What if I wanted to play it up from G, a minor second up from G? right? So feel free to play your intervals from all kinds of different places, up and down. It's a great practice. Minor second, major second. Let's keep going. Major third. Whole step, whole step. Do, re, mi. There's your third. Played melodically, played harmonically. Okay? Now, if I wanted to make this a minor third is a whole step plus a half step. Do, me. Okay? So our major third is 2 whole steps. Our minor third is only 1 whole step and a half step. Notice it's just a half step smaller than my major third. Sounds like go to sleep, go to sleep, go to sleep, little baby, right? Now if I keep going, major third, right? Here is what we call a perfect fourth. Sounds like here comes the bride. Do, re, mi, fa, do, fa. Here comes the bride. It is a whole step, half step. So if you were writing this down, it'd be W, W, H. Again, this can be played from anywhere. Here comes the bride. Whole step. Oh, look, whole step. Make that a whole step up to that raised key. Half step. Here comes the bride. Okay, so it can be played anywhere. Back to our C. Here comes the bride. Now, why is it a perfect and not a major? That's a great question. The reason is because if I lower it 1 half step to try to make it minor, oh my gosh, it doesn't become a minor fourth, it becomes a major third. Look at that. So there is no minor fourth interval, okay? That's why we call it perfect. Now, I'm going to go to a very dissonant interval here. Ooh, that sounds pretty scary. This is called a tritone. It is 3 whole steps, whole step, whole step, whole step. Now, this one, it was so dissonant sounding that a long time ago, back in, medieval and Renaissance periods, there was a point where they banned this interval because they called it the devil's interval. That's how terrible it sounded to people's ears, okay? And then a half step up from here is our perfect fifth. And we don't have that minor fifth interval because it would then be, if I were to lower it that half step, it becomes a tritone. So here's that perfect fifth. Do, so, do, re, mi, fa, sol. Whole step, half step, whole step. Look how we're getting bigger. This one's bigger, huh? Perfect fifth, okay? And it sounds like our Star Wars theme. Star Wars, do-do-do-do, right? Star Wars, perfect fifth, okay? If we keep getting bigger, okay, whole step, half step, whole step, again, can go up, can go down. This is a major 6, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la. Also sounds like the NBC theme, NBC. Now, if you want to make this minor, again, you take the interval, you lower it 1 half step because minor is smaller than major, typically by a half step. Sounds like the entertainer. Whole step, half step, whole step, half step. Okay? All right, moving on. So there's that major 6. Let's go to a major 7. Oh, big stretch. Do, ti. And it really wants to resolve to do. It wants that resolution, okay? But here's that do, ti. An easy way to find a 7th. Here's a trick. Go up the octave. So here it's my C going up to C. Do, do. Lower to half step to ti. T. Here it is. Okay? Easy. So if I wanted to find the major 7th from F, do, go up to do, lower half step to T. There's a T. Okay, see how I did that little trick? Okay, so there's do, T. And then here we have, if we want to lower it down a half step, that is your minor 7th. Well, let's count that major 7th. Whole step, half step, whole step, whole step. Catch that? If you lower to half step, just a half step smaller. Whole step, half step. Whole step, half step. Okay, you can use W's and H's. All right. Now let's go to the do. Do. Now this is the most important part, okay? This is your major scale pattern, guys. Whole step, half step. Connected by a whole step. Whole step, half step. Okay? You can play any major scale using this pattern. Take a look. Whole step, half step. Look, when we start doing this, right, you start seeing more of these raised keys. Whole step. Watch that whole step. Whole step, half step. Take a look. There you go. Any major key you want, you can figure it out using the whole, half, connected by a whole, half. Okay, and there you have it. Those are all of your intervals, and I have a nice little Google form here that you can fill out to review. Thanks so much for watching.